Have you ever noticed how the right person, the right message, or the right opportunity shows up exactly when you're on the edge of change? Most people call that coincidence, but it's not random.
Ooh.
It's your inner world and your outer world aligning for a moment. And what do you do in that moment matters, because synchronicity isn't meant to entertain you. It's meant to wake you up. My name's Michael Perry, and I'm joined today by Justin Gates. This is the new Ashla Podcast. Hello and welcome to the new Ashla Podcast. Today we're diving into synchronicity. This is one of those things you hear a lot about, but what does synchronicity actually mean?
Well, there are no coincidences. There are no coincidences, I'll say that. I've had lots of evidence of things not being a coincidence, but things being perfectly timed. That's what synchronicity is, really. Very 2 or 3 word definition. Perfectly timed. Perfect time.
Oh, I'm sure working in law enforcement, I'm sure you saw many moments where it's the right call at the right time, the right circumstance to appear to alert the authorities of something potentially dangerous happened. Like, I think about that a lot.
Or to keep me alive. You know how many times I've been kept alive?
Or to keep you alive?
By things that I can't even describe to you. Like, I don't even know. Synchronicity is something deeply woven into our path. And because it's woven into the universe, and we seek to connect and align and resonate with the universe, right? It's those moments where life whispers back to us, or the right person calls just as we think of them, right? Or a phrase in a book echoes the thoughts we had before we read the page.
Yep, you hear something on the radio.
Yeah, a song. Oh God! So we had a really great weekend together, the 4 of us, and we went to the hot springs, and I needed that so badly. You know, we've talked about self-care a lot and how it's not always a spa day or whatever, but this time it was, and it was really, really necessary, I think, for all of us.
Completely agreed.
But, you know, on the way home, a song played on the radio, and it's a song I hadn't heard in years. I'm talking like since, you remember the movie Over the Top?
No.
Okay, so there was this really, I apologize if there's any fans of Sly Stallone out there. He did this movie called Over the Top, where he was like this arm wrestling champion or something. It was the dumbest movie. It was dumb. They had the greatest soundtracks back then, man. All the movies, best soundtracks, because they always would get like, you know, these really popular artists to do the soundtracks. And bands and artists would write songs for the movie and stuff. There's a song from that movie called Meet Me Halfway. You got to look it up. And it just came on, you know. So we fought the internet haters because there was no internet up there at all. So we couldn't barely play Spotify. We just had to like sit with it, right? And
Yep.
And that's true even going out of town. I had to go like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes out of town before I could start picking up a signal on the phone and play Spotify. And I like to play my Spotify. This episode not sponsored by Spotify, but Spotify, if you're listening, hey. But Spotify, I like to run it on the smart shuffle so that it will play songs. It'll throw new songs in there on my list, on top of my list, right? So, you know, I'm listening to Spotify. So Spotify offline, it'll play the songs that are downloaded on your phone. But I must have hit like a sweet spot. I was thinking in my head, I was like, you know, Heather and I were talking about how when you get to a point of detachment from trauma, from the people that hurt us, and when you go through that stage where you sit with it, and her and I were talking about, you know, as a kid, I was really good at sitting with things until I was through them, right? So, and that just followed me even to now. But we were talking about people that in my life that did me dirty. Like my ex-wife, for example, my first wife. She did me super dirty, right? And with Heather and I were talking about it, I was like, you know what? I can't even remember them that much anymore because I've gotten so over it that it's not that and I think Courtney talked about this where you know, she was saying her husband and her will have a little scuffle and he'll say like, do you remember this? And she's like, I'm sorry, I don't remember that because I got over it. But then I was thinking about I was trying to pull up some feeling about it, and then this song just kind of moved into the shuffle, and my heart was just like glowing, man. It just like, but it was like the perfect timing, because it was like right when we got to this part of the conversation where, I was talking to her and I was saying, listen, the more you do this work, the easier it gets. Unfortunately, though, you'll start forgetting things. You'll start literally forgetting, out of sight, out of mind. Once it stops hurting you, it'll be gone, right? And I don't know if that's always a good thing. I would like to remember some things. I do remember mostly good things, but like, the hurt, the pain and stuff, I don't remember it. I can't even bring it up to feel it. Does that make sense?
Right. No, it does. It does.
So this song comes on. This song came on literally at the perfect time when I didn't even think I had internet, but internet hit. This song moved into the shuffle right around that same point of that conversation. I was just like, oh, this feels so good, because it's like, I love music and it sings to me, especially when it resonates real bad, or real good. But yeah.
When I'll say synchronicity, for me, it's always been something that's let me know I'm on the right path, whether that's seeing 11:11 or it's, like you said, a song coming on right at the perfect moment in the middle of my thoughts. Like, yeah, I do got this.
Yes. Yeah. But I do want to say, we balance all things here. We try to, as flawed humans, as best we can. I want to let people understand from the point of view of our path. This isn't about assigning meaning to everything, right? Not every random thing is a sign, and that's where people get lost in the woods. I know we're going to get into that, because the notes you gave me, chef's kiss, because later on in the show we're going to talk about that reality versus fantasy. But I kind of want to give people the understanding that not everything is a sign, right? Because when everything starts becoming a sign in our mind, then we start chasing everything, and we miss everything that's in front of us. So, but synchronicity is about awareness, and as you said in the opening, it's recognizing when that inner and outer worlds harmonize, and when it truly happens, you know it, because that moment feels different. Sometimes it feels clearer or quieter, but for me, things start feeling more true, if that makes sense.
Well, I'll say, even like in some of my instances when I was going through synchronicity a lot, is when I was going through my really dark period. And I was assigning meaning to the synchronicity, but the synchronicity may have been telling me I was on the right track. But what I had for my desired outcome was not what the synchronicity was leading me towards. That track was to propel me forward to take off on this landing strip. Yeah. But I thought I was going to the farm down the road, and instead I wound up in the stars.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and you and I were talking night before last. Yeah, Saturday night we were talking. We were sitting around and just having a really, really great conversation about what's going on in our lives, and the direction of not just the show, but all the stuff that we're building. And it's like we have to make sure we lock in, where these are the things that we can control, and we just have to be patient. Patience, I know I preach patience a lot, but patience isn't the strongest thing about me sometimes. We have all these signs and things that happen to us. But one thing we do on this show, and I don't know if we started out doing it on purpose, but we have gotten really good at it, and that's kind of this psycho-spirituality, right? So synchronicity is synonymous with spirituality almost exclusively everywhere you go. Where is the psychology come in for synchronicity? Because I'm really curious, because I don't think a lot of people talk about synchronicity in that light.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll be honest, I've never heard it that way, but I've always perceived it this way. I mean, we talk often about the unconscious mind is always searching. It is 95% of our thoughts. It is the thing that derives more meaning than anything we think of. And it's the unconscious mind that is seeking affirmation to its own way. Yeah. Sometimes it's for guidance, sometimes it's for validation, sometimes it's for understanding. Yeah. But when these things pop up in our lives, our minds will latch onto it and assign it meaning. Now, the big difference here between synchronicity and it being forced is it's something that's more like clarity. It feels natural. There's this abundance that wells up in you. It's not confusion. It's not this dominating, okay, this has to be right. It is something that just is, and it feels right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is not magic. This is communion with the flow.
Yeah.
Communion with the universe, with God, with creation, right?
Yeah.
And so, as I always like to do, I always like to pick an axiom that I find that matches with what we're going to talk about today. And if you allow me, I'd like to share that real quick before.
Yeah.
So, the axiom that I chose for this episode was approach understanding with light, and darkness will never gain purchase. So, and as we get into this later, we're going to talk about getting lost in the woods, that confusion versus clarity. But what this axiom teaches us is that when we approach life with openness and clarity, alignment and resonance, what once seemed chaotic begins to reveal a pattern. Think of like Neo seeing the ones and zeros, right? So you start to see a pattern in all things if you let it. Synchronicity isn't the universe randomly just throwing darts at a map, right? Because the universe does what the universe does. It's done it for billions of years. It's us finally slowing down and being quiet enough to hear and see things, right? This is awareness itself. It illuminates what the unconscious parts of us not so much hid from us, but failed to communicate with us. And we're the broken link in that communication, because we don't often enough be quiet enough or still enough to see it. So when we overthink or we overanalyze, we start to cast shadows across our own perception. And perspective is everything, right? It's like everything, because that is your reality. And we see coincidence where there's meaning, or meaning where there's coincidence. But when we approach it with truth, with light, with clarity, with humility, with curiosity, but also that kind of calm discernment, the difference becomes clear night and day. Synchronicity is that dialogue between the conscious and the unconscious, us mortals and those immortal things, the stars and the land, the whatever, right? So between these realms that we can experience and the realms that we haven't yet explored.
Yeah, well, you broke it down so well. I mean, I will say, I have read several psychology books even, that the end chapters are around synchronicity. And it's exactly that. It is as you start to heal these wounds, you begin to slow down, you start to see it, your path will illuminate itself. Now, one of my favorite quotes of all time is, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And often when we're scurrying through life, we're avoiding the truth, we're avoiding meeting ourselves where we're at. We get lost in the shuffle and forget to find the meaning in the moment. And as we slow down, we begin to absorb so much more what's going around us. And synchronicity has a way of almost acting as guideposts on a map.
Right.
You know, you get that itch. I feel like I need to pursue this job. And if you're willing to trust the universe, trust that intuition's little ping, and follow it. Go talk to a few people about it. You're going to find someone who's going to be like, hey, I'm into this line of work. Let's get you involved in it. I mean, that's a really random example, but you know your own intuition pings. When you follow those, when you put yourself out there, you take action, the universe meets you halfway, and that is synchronicity.
Yeah. By the way, happy birthday to Michael. We didn't wish you happy birthday on your birthday when we were recording. Happy birthday to Heather, whose birthday was on Friday. Michael's was on Thursday.
Happy birthday to you, which is tomorrow.
Mine's tomorrow. But so almost all of the ethos tie into this topic too. Obviously truth, right? Because, well, with truth, it reflects reality as it is, not as we wish it. And in these moments of synchronicity, like you said, the illusion starts to fade, and you start
release control.
Right, and you start to see your path illuminated, just like you said, those road markers, by something even greater than our limited and sometimes flawed logic. Things happen around us without our permission, without our involvement or interference. And we have to start tying into that. Connection, obviously, as I said it before, we seek to connect with all things in creation. So And faith and patience and responsibility fit in here too, some of our agreements. So I have something for you to think about while we're doing the show, Michael.
Okay.
And you guys too, if you want to play along. What if every moment of alignment, every perfect timing, was a reflection of your readiness to listen, right? What might the universe be trying to mirror back to you right now? So put that maybe right here, not in the front row, but kind of in the middle where you can see the screen better. That's where I like to sit.
Well, that takes me back to the relationship episode we did about toxic relationships. And when it comes down to it, there's usually two parts to every toxic relationship. And what relationships are meant to do is it's supposed to show us the unhealed parts of ourselves. And it's those moments that we should be thankful. I mean, we end up blaming our partners. We end up looking at all the flaws in them and how they ruin the relationship. But if we just stop and look at the unhealed parts of us that never was able to meet that person.
Right.
Like, that's just one small example. The workplace where we're stuck in the shuffle all the time, when we're having that call to leave, what is that reflecting back to us? That we need to expand, that we need to go outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah. Why wait till the end of your life? Most places, most ideas, most beliefs center around some kind of life review. Why wait till then to see everything? Why not just pay attention now, right? Why wait for heaven when you can have heaven now through connection, through discernment, through paying attention, slowing down. Heather had a question for you about deja vu. She said this reminds her of deja vu.
Yeah. What was the question around deja vu?
What? No, I asked if it would kind of be the same as deja vu, like synchronicity. You're talking about seeing the same thing, like certain things come to you or whatever, you know? Like,
no, I do think deja vu can very much be a form of synchronicity. It's that constant message, that constant thing you're overlooking, being re-stimulated in your mind to pay attention to.
Exactly. It's showing you constantly, like, oh, we've been in this position before. What the heck are you doing? Move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because, I mean, I'm really skeptical of anyone who says they can perfectly see the future, because we believe the future is always in motion. You may be seeing potential outcomes, but unless you're Doctor Strange doing the 14,100,000 and whatever, right? No, that's a really good point. I never actually had to consider deja vu being a synchronicity. Very, very well could be. Oh, that's very insightful.
Well, yeah, because like there's certain things you're like, wait a minute, why does it feel so familiar? You know, have I been here before? Did this happen?
Right. We all have them.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh crap.
But if you see a black cat twice, that's just a glitch in the matrix.
Don't
do the.
Unless you own one.
No, because then they're just running back and forth. So, what actually is synchronicity? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not superstition, right?
No, synchronicity is the unconscious and the spirit communicating through patterns, timing, symbolic events. You know, the psyche doesn't speak in sentences. It speaks in associations, repetition, and felt meaning.
That's why our dreams are so awesome sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and often it's like, what are your dreams trying to either tell you or purge from you? You know, a lot of synchronicity, we talk about how these patterns are reoccurring, how things constantly happen. Often there is a pattern within our lives that is calling forth the same events. You know, it's like if you date the same kind of person over and over again, it's not luck that the common denominator is you.
Is you.
You know, you're winding up in jobs you cannot stand. What about these jobs is attracting you to it to keep you in this cycle? Are you chasing money? Are you chasing opportunity? I mean, there are patterns within all things we do. That is what we are. We are pattern-craving beings, whether we like it or not.
Yeah. Right. And we are at our best when we can see the pattern.
Yeah.
Most of us don't. Not a lot. I mean, we do accidentally sometimes, but most of us are stuck in the very patterns we're trying to identify. And that's why we always say, pause, take a breath, close your eyes for a minute, and then start to look around you. Not judgy, but discerning. And you explained it beautifully. This is where the psyche and the cosmos collaborate.
Yeah.
It brings awareness into form.
And it will match your internal state.
What did old Carl call this? What did old Carl call synchronicity? Do you know? Do you remember?
No, what did he call it? No, I don't remember.
Meaningful coincidence. That's what he called it. He called it meaningful coincidence, which is a nice way to say it. And basically what he was saying was when an inner state aligns perfectly with an external event. And that creates that moment that feels charged with significance. Because the psyche doesn't speak in sentences, as you said. It speaks in patterns and symbols and timing, which is why we love symbols. I love symbols. Yeah. Well, you can't look around the whole room, but there are symbols all over the place here, right? Many of them pop culture symbols, some of them esoteric symbols, some of them are just symbols that mean something to me, but we love symbols and we love patterns, as you said. So it's the way our inner world sends the signals throughout the outer world saying, pay attention. I'm showing you this. Pay attention. Much like our dreams. Pay attention. Pay attention. No, you're not really riding a dinosaur. There's something else here you gotta pay attention to. Although that would be really fun if it didn't eat
That would be really fun. You could tame it. You got this.
I think so.
But in all honesty here, I mean, it does. Your internal state will reflect messages to you. Yeah. You're in a bad situation. You'll constantly get these little signs that are telling you it is time to go.
Right.
And it's up to you if you're going to heed the messages or you're going to let them pile up. It's kind of like the check engine light in a car, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 It's like, hey. Yeah. But these are tougher to spot. Like when something makes me angry, when someone triggers me to anger, that's easy to spot. That's loud and clear, bro. Hear you. Whatever that was, not a fan, right? But these synchronicities are a little tougher to identify. Lucky for us, they keep coming back over and over again until they flick us in the third eye enough times where we go, okay, fine. Fine, I get it, right? It's just the way that our psyche tends to, and our mind tends to knit together the things we can see and experience and the things that are yet to be explored. I don't like that word unseen. I just think it's like, we just haven't explored that yet.
Well, I think often about a lesson you taught me early on, which was just so much the truth. And it's like the universe will come originally and come knock on your door and let you know, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You don't listen to it. Then it's going to come banging on the door. And if you don't listen, then it's going to kick the door down. And if you can't listen at that point, it's going to send a tornado your way and blow your house down.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true. And the only reason I was able to teach that to you is because it's happened to me many, many times.
You caught me in the middle of that. I tell you what, I was like, all right, I'm done with this kicking my door in. I don't want the house to blow away.
Nope. Stay in Kansas, Dorothy. Don't go outside. But at the end of the day, synchronicity, if you want to say there are coincidences, well, then those are definitely different from synchronicities. Because synchronicity will clarify, it will not confuse. Once you recognize it, you will be able to align deeper and resonate deeper and not lose yourself. If something happens and you think it's a sign, but you're just twice as confused and now you're chasing things, I don't think that's really a synchronicity. Or at least you're not ready to hear it. You're not ready to see it, because when it happens and it's true, it's clear as day. Like a bell ringing goes off. So,
well, I think that ties right into synchronicity and alignment.
It's not a cookie. You don't get a reward for good behavior. That's what synchronicity is, right?
No,
it doesn't matter what you're doing. Synchronicities happen to all of us. It is, again, that natural outcome of internal harmony. When your words, and this is where integrity comes in too, when your words, choices, and beliefs align and resonate with all the things around you, the static in your energy field quiets down. The world stops reflecting confusion, and you'll start having more coherence with things and people.
You'll magnetize opportunity to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of the greatest things I realized is once you start going from synchronicity trying to teach you lessons, I mean, not that it always isn't trying to teach you lessons, but it goes from being that hard father to being that gentle mother-like energy where it's just constantly trying to help you become more and become greater and just present opportunities. I mean, I can't believe how much the more I got in alignment, the more opportunities all around me opened up. The people I met, the resources I had, the effectiveness I've been able to have in life, all these things lined up perfectly for me to be for all this to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And it brought some pretty good people in our lives, didn't it?
Yeah.
It really did. But you must be authentic here.
Yeah.
These synchronicities will increase. And it's probably not that they're increasing, it's just that you're living more authentically and you'll start to see more clearly, right?
Yeah.
And you got to stop lying to yourself. You got to stop betraying your intuition. You got to stop saying yes when every other part of you screams no.
And I think a big one, and I see this in a lot of places, you got to be aligned with your values. Know what your values are and know what your values aren't. We're not perfect, but we got to be able to have a moral internal code that we follow to a T. Because whenever we drift from that, we begin to persecute ourselves. But when we are in alignment with that, it helps us become more energetically aware. And again, that magnetism.
And there are some indicators for you to take note of as you're going through this process. Are there not? There's at least 3 or 4 that I could think of. What about less internal resistance?
Well, I think this is one of the key ways to know whether you're chasing signs or you're aligned with it. Does it fill you up? Does it light you up? And not in the sense of hope, but in the sense of knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Because often that resistance we might have just gets in our way from perceiving the messages. Again, I had it when I was in that rough relationship for 7 years. The universe kept speaking to me, and I just kept being, nope, blinders up.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. When something like this, hope is like kindergarten faith. And I think it was, God, it reminds me, that phrase reminds me of some of the fellows we were talking about, some of the old schoolers that we were talking about the other night, people that really laid the groundwork for this kind of New Age faith. And that doesn't mean that hope is for children. That just means that, like you just said, as you align more and more, hope becomes knowing, right? Hope becomes knowing. And things stop feeling less like a battle between should and want, and that internal resistance fades, and you're no longer divided against yourself. This is where you start to find true integrity, and you stop overanalyzing every single thing, and you start to trust that intuitive rhythm because you're starting to plug in, because you're being authentic, and you're not paying attention to the million and one things that are trying to stop you. You're focusing on the stuff that you have control over. You know, the anxiety drops from these things because, especially if you're someone who's a second guesser. We all know a lot of second guessers. We all may be those ourselves. But that stuff starts to soften too. And you start to find confidence. Now, like in all things, challenges still come around. We never shake those. There's no philosophy on earth. There's nothing I could ever teach you. There's nothing you can read in a book that makes the challenges of life go away. They just don't. But they'll start feeling less like a punishment. These things will start to feel more like teachers and like they have purpose. And you will start to move, not so much wrestle with them, but you'll start to dance with them and integrate them. So in this indicator, resistance often signals that disconnection between your conscious goals and your unconscious truth. And when you align and resonate, the energy flows freely again in your choices, and your whole being will start to move in the same direction as one. Even your shadows, you'll start to move as a whole being.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the best things to keep in mind when you're understanding synchronicity, when you're going through synchronicity, don't seek control. Don't seek understanding something greater than what is in front of you. Follow the wind. Allow it to carry you to each step. Allow it to create what it is it's trying to help you unfold before you. It doesn't mean take action. It doesn't mean don't make decisions in that moment. But don't rigidly hold on to them. Allow the universe to help you create this abstract painting, because you could be trying to draw a little house and you're winding up with a whole estate, We can never have a greater imagination than the universe.
This is what we mean by this is what people mean when they say the will of God or the will of the force or being guided by something greater than yourself. This is what they're talking about. Because once you start to feel like the currents are carrying you And nothing's perfect. This won't be perfect either. But because now you trust in the unfolding, and that need to force and chase and overplan, that stuff starts to fall away. You stop doing that more and more. And it really starts to feel like a partnership, right? It starts to feel like you're a part of this instead of just performing or the outcast or isolated or whatever. This is where true connection, that powerful connection takes place. This is where heaven starts to unfold, that connection. And like you said, you'll start noticing these opportunities that just start lining up right at the perfect time, right? People who show up that share your vision or share your challenges even. So,
well, I think an important note too with this is the lesson you taught me many years ago, and it's what is the difference between hope and faith? Hope is praying that things work out. Faith is knowing they will. And when you can have the faith to let it unfold before you, it helps you free up so much energy of worrying what's going to happen. Is this the right move? It is just allowing yourself to go with it.
Yeah. It simply says, follow me. Follow me. Follow me. There was a really famous guy that used to say that.
Yeah.
They killed him for it, but
yep,
he's pretty popular.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, they all knew who I'm talking about too. But, feeling like you're a part of it, feeling like you're being guided in a partnership, not like something's pushing you, but you're in this, you're in a cradle going downstream. It's peaceful, right? It's connected. This really means that you've kind of released the ego's demand for certainty and for control, and you've allowed yourself to be open to this orchestration that's happening, whether you want it to or not. It is, and life starts to unfold through you, Michael. Not just around you, but through you. Things just start happening.
Well, it's like the 4 stages of consciousness, right? The 4 stages of consciousness. Life is happening to me. Stage 1. That is where most people operate. It is the constant, life is happening to me, and I have no control over it. Then it goes into stage 2, which is life is happening for me.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we teach a path that ends up becoming a path of no mind, a path of no effort. It becomes the effortless path, right? You'll know that you're in alignment and resonance when this stuff starts becoming normal and ordinary. And, throughout the years, I've had people really doubt that I was a mystic because I'm just so nonchalant about this stuff, right? Well, because it's become so normal for me. This is why I don't like the word supernatural. We talked about this the other night. I don't like the word supernatural because all of this is natural. None of us are creating this. It is natural. These are natural things about the universe that we live in. Just most of us don't want to see it, right? So the more aligned you are, the more you resonate, the more these things like synchronicity stops feeling special or mystical and starts feeling natural. Yeah. Because you start to, now you've gone from the point where you know this happens to expecting that the universe responds, because it always does. You stop asking for signs because you are actually living as one, right?
Yeah.
So these numbers and symbols and, the 1111s, we all see them. I see them all the time. I was born on 1111. I've seen that everywhere, right?
That's crazy, man. I'll tell you what, when I realized that, I was like, holy crap, he is a walking synchronicity.
And that's what we try to become is where this stuff becomes so normal that we start to become the thing, right? We start to become the signs for ourselves and others. And again, these numbers and symbols or these moments of perfect timing, they just don't surprise me anymore. I just kind of chuckle. I go, yep.
No.
Don't surprise me anymore. The miraculous becomes normal because you are attuned beyond trying to chase the meaning of things.
Or trying to make your own meaning. I mean, it's not bad to create definition, but the more abstract you can let life be, the more you can just absorb so much more out of the world. Yeah. So much more opportunity and possibility. It's insane.
This is where the proof lies that abundance is yours. Truly. Right? Heather and I have a friend that we've known for a long time, and I call him the wish it, want it, do it guy, because he would wish it, want it, he would start to do it, but when he couldn't force an outcome or get the outcome that he demanded, then he fell off every time. That was, I just posted a short from the show I did with Brenda Martinez, and it's called The Secret of the Secret. And the secret of the secret, let's see if you can guess this. Heather, do you know what the secret of the secret is?
Faith?
Close enough. Faith. It is letting it work, letting it cook, letting it go. Wish it, want it, do the things that you are supposed to do on your side of things, and just let it go, right? We talked about this many years ago before you became my student, because we'd always have these conversations over at the old Come and Go, and that was one of the things I told you, was like, because you were really, I mean, you had books stacked this deep that you have read, and we talk about these things, and law of attraction was something you were really into back then, and we would talk, and then I remember saying to you one time, okay, yeah, no, you are on track, except you forgot to let it go. And Brenda and I were talking about that, and she said, well, that's the secret of the secret. And it's true. It is letting it go, because, well, you don't get to be in charge of all of it. We couldn't possibly, and I've said this before, we couldn't possibly be in charge of moving all the things around that need to be moved, because we don't even know all the players on the board, right? Sometimes we got to do our part and let the things move around and be patient, and it will come.
Well, and that's really where the magic happens. Again, it ties into that patience, but it's like baking a cake. You put it all together, you throw it in the oven, and the oven will know when it's done.
Yeah.
But you have to trust that it is baking in there. You can't keep pulling it out and checking on it. It's that derived action and divine timing, right?
Yeah. Divine timing, which thank God it's out of our hands, because then it becomes perfect timing. But, now we're getting to the good stuff, though, because this is where a lot of us get tripped up, especially with these kind of topics, because if you're anything like me, you wanted to just rip through it, man. Oh, this is awesome. And I would just go crazy, but I'd get tripped up, right? Because then I would start blurring that line between what is a sign, what is synchronistic, and what is fantasy, what I am making up.
So I think there is a lot when it comes to distinguishing synchronicity from fantasy, because I think all of us want that fantasy of everything telling us that this choice is right, or that this is the path we need to take. But not every coincidence is meaningful. Yeah. Synchronicity, again, it goes back to that the feeling you get inside. Is it grounded and calm, or does it feel urgent or emotional? Is it something where you're trying to prescribe meaning to it, or are you following it? Because often, I know for me, I ran into it myself when I first got into this scene. I wanted it to tell me what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And man, I would force that on it all the time. And like I said, I was seeing synchronicity. It was telling me I was on the right path. But the destination, the path it was taking me on, was not the path I wanted to go on.
Yeah. Well, not every so-called coincidence is synchronicity. Just like not every strong feeling we have is some kind of spiritual guidance. Because our minds love to do what?
Make meaning.
They love to assign meaning. We love things being in boxes with labels, especially when we're hurting, especially for longing, or we're searching, right? For direction, for purpose, for meaning. But again, true synchronicity is calm. It's grounded, but it's really deep and expansive, right? And
very much so.
This so-called fantasy is the exact opposite of that. It's way more emotional. It grips us, but it often roots us in things that aren't good for us, like avoidance.
Well, it's like, I think back to that relationship I was in for 7 years. And again, all the signs were telling me, you need to remove yourself from this situation. But I would cling to anything else I would see. The 1 out of 20 that was like, all right, I should stay in this. I should keep fighting for this. I should keep trying to make it work.
Right.
It felt desperate to a degree.
Yeah. So let's compare some things that are actual synchronicity to something that's fantasy. Maybe things people will resonate with.
Yeah, I mean, crap. Let's go back to that desperation, man. Often when we're chasing synchronicity, we're chasing meaning. It feels desperate. It is determined to look for any answer that isn't the answer we already know. Yeah. Next to synchronicity, which feels calm, it feels steady. It allows us to flow with it. It's a natural feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, where synchronicity feels steady and like a really good deep breath, right? It feels so good. And it just charges the whole system down from your toes to the top of your head. But fantasy, like you said, feels really desperate. Like you desperately need it to be true. I don't care if it is, but I really, really, really need this to be true. Yeah. Another one, synchronicity always will expand your perspective if you're open.
Yeah.
If you surrender. And of course, the fantasy is, because we're trying to control everything, it narrows. It narrows our focus. It locks us into only one outcome. And if it doesn't happen, I'm out of here. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
Well, and there's so much truth to this, because when you are in these moments of synchronicity, meeting someone, having that moment of clarity, I mean, again, your perspective, your ability to dream just grows exponentially. Mm-hmm. Next to something that restricts your vision, allows you to see a single goal at the end of the tunnel, and clouds your judgment around anything else, including logic and reason.
Well, and going back to the wish it, want it, do it, let it go, right?
Yep.
With synchronicity, you can see it, understand it, know it, and then release it. And it still has that power because, right, it comes from someplace higher. But on the fantasy side of it, you cling to it. You fear of losing it. Synchronicity encourages us to be patient and to have trust. Where the other side of things, we are encouraged to be obsessive and always in this state of urgency, which is not good for us either.
Yeah. Well, and it gets so bad when you start clinging, because we want things so bad in our lives, the way we want it. We think we know what's best for us. And I think that is one of the greatest illnesses that plagues mankind, is because everyone thinks they know the best way to go about everything. We know it all.
I violate this all the time, and I catch myself, but I still do it. I still do it to this day. Yep. You know, I'll say to Heather, you don't know what's best for me. Is that truth speaking, or is that my ego speaking?
Yep.
Because maybe she does. And if I'm not open to suggestion, I'm not open to her at least being able to offer that perspective, then I am kind of going off on this other one where, no, it's my way or the highway. I'm narrowed in. This is exactly what I want it to be. So, you know, this is a lifelong process and practice. But there's some things I want you guys to ask yourselves. Does this moment, when this happens, does this moment expand me, or am I using it to avoid something painful? Right? That one question is really enough to bring you back into clarity, to help you say, okay, is this actually synchronicity, or is it fantasy, or am I trying to control this? Because when you're aligned, and you said this perfectly, and this is spot on, when you're aligned and you're resonating, the synchronicities confirm your path. They confirm that you are moving in the right direction. See, up ahead, there's another road marker. It's like, for those of you who play video games, right? And you're lost in a maze, or you're lost in a level. You always know you're going the right way when you find more bad guys, right?
Yeah.
That's how you know. That's how you're like, oops, okay. You know, you're sitting around wandering around, you know. If I'm playing Skyrim and I'm wandering around a dungeon and I run out of bad guys and I'm like, oh man, and I'm lost. And if you've ever played that game and you stick to the vanilla settings where everything's really dark and danky looking and it's hard to see anyway, and then you see the skeleton running at you, you're like, okay, I know I'm going in the right direction. It's kind of like that. You know, when you're aligned, you start seeing things that confirm your path. Not confirm what you want to be the outcomes of, right? But because there is a difference there. There is a difference there.
Well, and I think that's such a good question, too. As far as it's like, are you avoiding something when you're chasing the synchronicity? Is there pain that you're avoiding? Because I know often when I was ignoring synchronicity, that's exactly what it was. When I was assigning meaning to whatever I could latch onto while avoiding the real message, it's because I was always avoiding a hard truth or a hard conversation. And yeah, no, that's a beautiful exercise.
Yeah. That's why, as Heather says, that's why it keeps coming up. Yeah. Yeah. The universe never abandoned you. stop listening to it. And that's not a judgment. We all forget. We all forget where we started, if there is such a thing. Not sure we all ever started anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember any of the times before I had knowing. I don't remember. So my best guess is that maybe there wasn't a beginning for me, for any of us.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I've said that to you before, and it's like, there are some questions that I'm not sure I'm ever going to find the answer to. So I just have to have faith, and I just have to trust that it doesn't matter that I can't remember what was before my knowing, my consciousness. And I just have to assume, since there was no beginning, I must assume that it just continues on, right? But when you are wounded, this sort of fantasy tries to rescue you from this pain of waiting or not knowing. But both are attempts to make meaning. But only one of these leads to freedom. Can you guess which one it is?
Yeah, right? So I guess the real question is, how do we work with synchronicity?
Well, as fun as puzzles are, this is not about decoding cryptic messages. There isn't some super wizard up there giving you riddles to solve, right? There just isn't. As fun as that would be. It's about, again, cultivating awareness. Learning to listen to the subtleties of the universe. Think of it as a little subtle conversation between what's in here and what's out there. And the key is to not to rush or try not to overthink or live just in here all the time, Michael. Not here all the time, Heather. Not here all the time, Justin. Right? Because when we're constantly in here tinkering and moving stuff around, we create so much noise we can't hear this quiet dialogue. So the first thing we have to do is I'm a broken record at this point, because this is what I always say. The first thing you got to do is what? Pause. Slow down. You got to be able to notice these things, because it speaks softly. And you cannot hear much in chaos, can you? When that tornado is ripping the roof off, you can't hear anything. And now you're freaking out and you're in panic mode. You know, carve some space into your day for that inner stillness work, that inner peace work. Give yourself, if only a few moments, where the mind quiets enough to notice things that are in repetition or in pattern or in resonance. Just meditation, walks in nature, some mindful breathing. That's the first thing I would do.
That's a powerful step. And I would say once you get to a point where that peace becomes natural, I mean, we talk about balance all the time. I think one thing that does balance that out is action, meaningful action. That doesn't mean start running in a direction. It means start taking little steps towards a desired goal or dream or outcome. Mm-hmm. And again, don't rigidly hold on to what that is, but allow yourself to start building that momentum while balancing with peace, because it is in the quiet moments is when you will receive the messages.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of those actions you could take, you're not going to believe I'm going to say this to you, but create a journal that that tracks what you're starting to see. Once you start to see these patterns, write down the numbers, write down the words, write down the animals or symbols that keep appearing over and over again. And
one thing I'd add to that too is being able to write down what's running through your mind at that time. What were you thinking about?
Where and what are you feeling, right? This is about connection. It's about connecting all the parts of ourselves, because they all have something to tell us. They all have a story to tell us. And and again, the ultimate goal is to align that story so that it's authentic. And once you do these things, over time, you'll start to notice these patterns and threads forming. You'll start to see that your conscious mind and your unconscious self are communicating. But again, at this point, the key to interpret these things is not to obsess over interpreting everything. Just observe them, write them down. Don't judge it, just write it down. You know, I know people that will say, "Oh my God, 3 red birds just flew over me," and they'll start freaking out. I'll be like, "Okay, why are you freaking out? What does that mean? What are you interpreting this as?" Well, you know, when the birds fly from northeast to southwest, and if they're red but they have purple beaks, it's game over. It's game over. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, maybe we should slow down just a minute, and maybe you should start writing this stuff down so that you see if it's really purple-beaked redbirds flying over you all the time, because it probably isn't. So, don't judge it. Just, be calm and just observe. Because the meaning of these things that happen around us, these things will ripen and become more clear as time goes on.
Well, and one important part with this is when you are writing it down, it allows you to see the patterns. You got to look for themes over time. That message will continually come up at the right time. So if you're constantly cataloging when this stuff is going on, you'll know. It's not these one-off moments here and there. It is a consistent message being brought to your attention. But practices like journaling help you be able to go back to, this is what was going on. This is what I was thinking about. This is what I was contemplating at this time. And over I'm getting these messages around this.
Yeah. Yeah. And you really have to start asking yourself reflective questions, right? So when something, because these things are, and I'll never say never, right? Because that's just not true in the universe. There are exceptions to every rule so far that I've seen. But when something does stand out, don't ask, what does this mean? Like, why are these red, purple-billed birds flying over me? That shouldn't be your first question. Your first question shouldn't be, what does this mean? Your first question should be, if you really want to get to the heart of it, what part of me is trying to get my attention, right? Because what that question does, it reclaims your power from everything that's happening around you, which you have very little control over, right? And it puts your awareness back where it belongs, rooted inside, rooted in your inner self. Because I would argue that synchronicity is never outside of you.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree with that.
It's you reflecting back to you in the outside world. Or at the very least, hey, pay attention. We got something to talk about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think this is an important thing, and this is throughout everything we talk about on here. It's don't rush an interpretation. Mm-hmm. The more you try to decipher the meaning in the work you're doing, even when you're trying to heal, you gotta let your body tell you what's going on first. You gotta let the meaning reveal itself to you. And that takes time. That takes patience. That takes work.
Yeah. It's not a puzzle to solve or a message to decode. Once you start to learn to be still and look for these synchronicities, it's a conversation with your higher self. It's the light reflected in all things. And when you approach it with reverence and patience, but also curiosity, right? The world begins to feel like a sacred mirror. Every moment of your life is reflecting your evolution back to you, your growth, or your lack thereof sometimes. Unfortunately. It's very difficult to grow steadily, is it not? It would be nice.
We always look at the healing map, but it's always, I'll never forget, I was working with Courtney, and she wanted me to learn a lesson. So she's like, you're going to go find a labyrinth, and you're going to walk it, and you're going to reflect the whole time you do it.
Oh, the labyrinth.
And I realized it.
Nice.
Yeah, like when I went down it, I realized it's like you start getting to the center, then you go out, and now you're on the outer ring, and you're moving all around, going up and down and back and forth. That is what the healing journey is. Sometimes you're going to feel 10 steps ahead. Other times you're going to feel 5 steps behind where you started. But you are making progress. It's working through the junk.
This is why we compare it to hills and valleys, right? This is why we always say, you did it. You climbed that mountain, man. That was really hard work. And then you look across the landscape and there's 100,000 more mountains to climb.
Yeah.
Climb them, you got to climb back down and then back up again. And you have these victories. But celebrate your victories, but also celebrate the treacherous walk back down and the walk back up, because both of those are teachers of equal measure. Of equal measure, right?
We could do a whole episode on that. I mean, often I think people see the climb as the moments where we build character and build resilience. But it's also in the times of peace, of gentle ease, that we get to gather the most perspective.
Yes. Yeah. No, they are necessary. They really are necessary. We should do a show about the hills and valleys of growth. Yeah.
Leave a comment if you want to hear that.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any other parting pieces of guidance before we jump into our affirmations?
I do. So I just want you guys to remember this isn't something we chase. It's not necessarily a puzzle to solve or an enigma that we have to find all the profound meaning in things, right? It's something that we notice when we're finally still and ready enough to listen to. And as always, when you live in truth, when your actions match what the rest of your being is telling you, your life begins to reflect that coherence back to you. The right people start to appear. The right opportunities and doors will open for you. Even challenges make sense in hindsight. Everything becomes a teacher, right? You begin to see that you were never moving through some random universe, that there was something, some steady hand ready to guide you through life, right? So the beauty of synchronicity is that it doesn't necessarily demand belief because it invites you into a relationship with it, right? It whispers to you, you are seen, you are connected, you are exactly where you need to be. So my call to action today for all of you will be this week, make space for stillness. I mean, every week, but start this week if you don't already. Make some space in your day, in your night, in your busy lives for some stillness. And notice what keeps repeating. Could be words, symbols, feelings, songs, numbers, names, whatever. And write them down without forcing any kind of meaning. And keep asking yourself, what part of me is ready to be seen? What part of me is ready to be mirrored back to me? What am I saying to myself? And let the meaning come in its own time. You gotta be able to not obsess over it and let it go. It isn't the universe shouting. It's your soul trying to guide you. So I'll leave you guys with, may your awareness become your compass, and may the signs find you, not because you're searching for them, but because you're walking with them, within truth. So let them take you where you need to go. Don't be so damn stubborn. That's what I'll leave it with.
That's good advice right there, though.
Don't be so damn stubborn, like me.
It's a practice.
It is.
For our affirmations today, I trust that alignment creates clarity, not control. What's meant for me doesn't need to chase me. It meets me where I'm honest. I am learning to listen when life speaks in patterns. I release the need to interpret everything and allow meaning to unfold naturally. My awareness is my compass. When I am present, I never miss the signs. For our journaling prompts today, what repeating situations, symbols, or interactions have been showing up for me lately? Write what's been happening, not what you think it means. Allow yourself to reflect as you compile this list. Where in my life do I feel friction, resistance, or a sense of forcing? What truth have I been avoiding or rationalizing away? In these answers, you can find the synchronicities that have been trying to subtly speak to you. And in the end, find truth. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out our different channels, Spotify, YouTube,
TikTok,
Apple Podcasts if you got it, TikTok, Instagram,
Google.
Also check out our awesome website.
We're even over at Amazon and Audible, newashla.com, right? Best website in the entire universe.
Check it out.
Check it out. Check it out.
With love and gratitude, Ad Lucem.
Ad Lucem.